Yeah, so I wanted to do this episode and really just map out how I go about programming for my clients, my past athletes, and really just give you a basic understanding of how I go about that. So we get the basic principles of programming. Now there are a million ways to do it. This is how I feel most comfortable doing it. Working back at Boston College, Stonehill College, Holy Cross, there are a lot of different ways of programming that I learned, but something that stuck with me was at BC and then, the way that we went about it. So shout out to Rosa and the staff. I hope I explained this well. Hopefully you can get back to me and let me know how I did. So, first two rules. So you need a built-in recovery, built-in progression. So when I talk about a built-in recovery and built-in progression, I'm really referring to the frequency, volume, intensity, and time under tension. So frequency, for the people who just don't know too much about programming, is how many times you're working out during the week. We have our volume, the amount of sets and reps throughout the week. Intensity, how heavy we're going in the gym in our workouts. And that can also refer to heart rate as well. And then our time under tension, so how much time the muscle is under tension. So if I'm doing a bicep curl on the eccentric lowering, that's time under tension. So that could be anywhere from 1 second to 8 seconds. Recovery and progression, I'm referring to frequency, volume, intensity, and time under tension, and I'm going to go over that as I explain how I, go my basic principles of programming. So when I go about programming, I think about a lot of things. But just for the video, just for the sake of how basic I want to make it, we're just going to talk about 4 weeks. So we have week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to break this down for us. So on this week 1, introducing a lot of things to the body. So we're going to call that a moderate week. Now this moderate week, all right, we're going to have compound movements if we're going to do some type of bodybuilding, squat, bench, deadlift. If we're talking about some type of Olympic lifts, we can talk about snatch, clean, you name it. We're just going to write here compound movement, all right? So within these compound movements, I'm talking about the intensity for right now, and I'm going to give that in a percentage. For a moderate week, we're going to have somewhere between 65 to 75% of our max. All right, so that's where we're going to start. And then we also have our accessory movements. Now, what the hell is an accessory movement? To make it simple, to make it basic, let's just think of a dumbbell row. Perfect. So we have our compound movements and accessory movements. When we're talking about our accessory movements, I like to start with about 3 sets of 8. So that could go bicep curl, dumbbell row, chest flies, push-ups, you name it. Something that is using, let's call it less joints, less muscles within the movement, all right? That's kind of the difference between compound and accessory at a basic level. We need a built-in progression and built-in recovery. This is where the built-in progression is going to come in. We're going to jump up to a moderate heavy week, all right? And what the hell does that mean? So moderate heavy week is pretty much defined as anything from 75% to 80% of that compound movement. So if I'm benching at 100 pounds, I'm going to go up to around 65 pounds to 75 pounds. We're going to go to week 2, built-in progression. We're going to progress to about 75 pounds to 80 pounds. Now the sets and reps can vary with these compound movements, but if we're going to talk about our accessory movements, all we're going to do is to progress 3 sets of 8. We're going to increase the volume to 4 sets of 8. If this dumbbell was 50 pounds, we're going to go 50 pounds here. We're going to keep the intensity, right? Intensity refers to the weight lifted, but we're just going to increase the volume, all right? So this is how we progress, whether it be with intensity right here or the volume, okay? So then for our light week, we're gonna go anywhere from 50% to about 65%. Right, we've gone up to 80 pounds, right, on our bench. Now we're gonna come back down, recover, or allow the CNS, the central nervous system, to recover, muscles to recover, bring down the volume as well. Because week 4 is coming up, and I'll get into week 4. So we have 50 pounds to 65 pounds, right? For our accessory movements, we're gonna bring 4 sets of 8 down to 3 sets of 6, okay? Although we're going down in our percentages and our volume, we can actually increase our accessory intensity if we wanted to. Why? Because instead of doing 8 reps a set, we're going down to 6 reps a set. So in theory, we could go up to 60 pounds. That's just one way to do it. Or, Ed talked about time under tension. So with these weeks, if I had a 4-second eccentric on the way down, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're doing that for 24 reps here, and we have 18 reps here, well, I could actually increase the time under tension as well to 5 seconds. And that has a compounding effect on time as well. You know, we've recovered. This is our built-in recovery week. Why? Because we're getting ready for that heavy week. This is where we're gonna kind of see an increase in weight, intensity, right? So we got our heavy, and this is gonna be anywhere from, let's call it 85% plus, all right? Now the volume throughout these compound movements are definitely gonna vary depending on who your coach is and everything. According to the accessory movements though, this is our pattern. We go from 3 sets of 8 to 4 sets of 8. We recover, back down to 3 sets of 6. What's our built-in progression? 4 sets of 6. At that same, at that same weight. And we can also keep that time under tension if we wanted to, if we were working with time. So as you can see, I want to do a quick review again and really just get this in the viewers' heads. Is we're starting off at 65%, right? And then throughout the course of the week, we're increasing our intensity, increasing our volume, right? And we can keep the weight the same because we're just increasing our volume here. Then we have that recovery, right? Our light week. We go all the way down to 65%. We recover. And in theory, we could go heavier on our accessories because it's less volume. And then we're bumping our intensity up for that heavy week. That's where we should see some type of gain, all right? And then we can also increase our accessories 4 sets of 6, keeping the same weight, keeping the same time under tension. This is just one way, one very basic way to go about programming. This is what I'm very comfortable with because it's easy to sustain and stick to. It's basic for the athletes and the clients to understand. It works. It doesn't get too complicated than that. There's a couple things you can manipulate, but for the most part, I didn't talk about frequency as much, which is where a lot of overtraining can come in, right? So frequency, as we remember, is how much you're working out per week. So if you're feeling some type of fatigue, right, that's maybe where that light week can come in, and we're bringing down the frequency of how many times we're going to the gym. If you want to go to the gym as much as you want throughout the week, that's fine. But I definitely wouldn't be going as intense and working some type of stretching or recovery day. That's how I go about it. I really hope this was basic enough to understand. If there are any questions, DM me, comment, you name it. I'm here for a resource for everyone who watches. Thank you so much, Russ and the BC staff. Let's connect soon. Hopefully I explained this well, and yeah, thank you. Have a good one.